Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're building the McFarlane DC Multiverse Polka-Dot Man action figure. He's from the upcoming The Suicide Squad film. Polka-Dot Man is an old school Batman villain, pretty much a grade D villain, one of those obscure and ridiculous villains. I love those type. I love the fact that he's getting a movie appearance. He looks to be one of the sort of main characters in the film. These figures were in stock at GameStop.com. They were $24.99, free shipping, and on sale. Went ahead and grabbed the figures. Only took them a couple days to give them to me. Very happy to have these figures before the film comes out. So let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging here. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane toys, ages 12 plus, DC Multiverse Polka-Dot Man, Collect Build King Shark. This is the first of 4 figures. In his package here, he's got some polka dot effects. He's got some goggles that can be up or down, unlike Batman. One side of the package says Polka-Dot Man from The Suicide Squad. Other side, Polka-Dot Man. At the bottom, there's a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode in case that helps anybody. And on the back side, here's Polka-Dot Man for the movie, instructions on how to build King Shark, and the rest of the wave. So with no further ado, let's open him up. And I did end up getting the entire wave of figures from GameStop. They were $24.99 each. A lot of the time GameStop will upcharge. They didn't this time. There was also a sale going on. I paid with shipping and taxes about $96 for these 4 figures. If you do the math, that breaks down to less than $20 a figure if you add King Shark. Pretty cool. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He does come with a display stand, a collector's card, he has some removable goggles, an alternate wrist gauntlet, and then some projectile polka dots. But before we take a look at the accessories, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Polka-Dot Man. In the comics, his real name is Abner Krill. He's played by David Dastmalchian in the upcoming The Suicide Squad. Polka-Dot Man is an old school obscure bat rogue. He first premiered in Detective Comics number 300. This guy is one of those absolutely ridiculous Silver Age bat villains. This guy's covered in polka dots. His theme in the comics, he could pull any polka dot off his body and turn it into a wide variety of devices. I always liked this guy, not because he's cool, but because I'm super into those obscure bat villains. I'm the guy that actually has a custom of the original Polka-Dot Man. And don't worry, yes, you'll get to see it later in the video. So let's take a look at him. Starting with his face here. The likeness to the actor is decent, not great, but I can totally see it in there. On mine, the eyebrow looks a little off the eye. Kind of has it risen over there. He has this very interesting, sarcastic, kind of depressing personality in the trailers. He's got polka dots all over him, red, blue, green, yellow, basic colors. He's in this sort of jumpsuit type thing. 2 wrist gauntlets, and at first I was confused why he came with an alternate one. But after handling him for a little while, this one is considerably bigger than this. It's when he's launching out his polka dots. Looks like double jointed elbows. You can see different texturing on the different parts of the suit. Well done. He's got that sort of cloth soft goods diaper here in the middle. Double jointed knees. Got some brown boots on. He's got that belt. Overall, it looks great, and I'm so excited to get another Bat Rogue never before made in action figure form. And then here he is, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's take a closer look at his face. As you can see, his right eyebrow is kind of risen, and honestly, under his right eye, it looks like it's like welted, like his eye is sort of damaged, he's been beat up. I don't know if I'm seeing that right or not. Overall, the face is decent. You see the creases on his cheeks, under his nose. Polka-Dot Man. Never in a million years would I expect McFarlane to be making a figure of him. Of course, it's because he's in the film, and that's almost as ridiculous. Now let's take a look at his accessories, and let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand, black perfect circle, says DC at the bottom. He's got 1 peg for the peg holes on his feet. Very thin, very basic. Now let's look at his collector's card. This is an image of Polka-Dot Man from the film. As you can see, Polka-Dot Man from the Suicide Squad. On the back, we have a little description of him. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Now let's look at his goggles. They're made of a brown material. They're very bendable, rubbery, stretchy to get around his head. It's got some transparent red on the front. Here's Polka-Dot Man without the goggles on. And then, with the goggles on, and would you look at that, McFarlane made a figure with removable goggles. They can even go up and down. Kind of seems like that's the approach they could have taken with the Justice League Tactical Suit Batman. Now let's look at his two alternate wrist gauntlets, and then the polka dot accessories. So as you can see, the one on the right is when it came with the package. It's a little bit bigger. It's when it's in use, shooting out the polka dot projectiles. Speaking of them, here they are. It's a pretty cool accessory, very appropriate for him. You can see all the polka dots, although I see there are none in green for some reason. It has this transparent plastic simulated in midair. It will clamp around his wrists. And as far as these two things go, made of sort of a rubbery material. Here he is with no wrist gauntlet on. That doesn't work at all. And here, with the standard wrist gauntlet on, it matches the other side. This is the one I would have him wearing most of the time. This is what he'll look like when he's not using his projectile weapon. Then, with his larger version, this will be as he's actively using his weapon. And if we're going to use that wrist gauntlet, of course, we're going to have to attach his polka dot weapons. Here he is, firing his polka dots right at you. And here's Polka Dot, crouched on the ground, launching out his polka dots. You can definitely get him into some nice various action poses here. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's sitting at about 7.0 inches tall, which is going to translate to a hair under 18 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down about that far, not too bad. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes out more than 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. He does not have that butterfly joint in here. He's got the soft goods overlay, it's covering it. It is sort of a peg in there, so it has the same effect, but doesn't actually have that ring in there. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows below that. His wrist can rotate, and it's hinged as well. He's got the soft goods overlay on top of what I believe is a double ball joint in there, one here, one here. Now it's very interesting how they did this. So it is rubbery up here. You can see, you can kind of mush it in there a little bit. And underneath, it's almost like a replica of the same material. Did a really good job keeping it pretty seamless. I think it came out very nicely. And it gets a little stranger as you go in there. There is flesh color underneath there. I find that very, very interesting. So I believe the joint is right here, but I think it actually has a part here and here that can both rotate. So he can rotate around, go forward and back very far. Very nice range of motion in his torso area, especially considering how unique the design is. Legs go about this far, not a ball joint, similar idea. Rotation almost non-existent on this guy. Go forward about that far, back about that much. Double jointed knees below that. And then his ankle here goes forward and back, only this one little sort of click. I wish he'd go forward one more notch, but his boots were prohibits that. Then he has toe articulation. His foot, it can rotate around and tilt and rock. Here's a Suicide Squad in a broken down building, preparing for battle. And here they are, quick to jump into action. Here's Polka-Dot Man on the floor, but not giving up. Here's King Shark and the team of figures from the Suicide Squad. So far, McFarlane has given us these 5 figures. There has been no announcement or any tease about any further figures, but there's about 16 more characters they can make from this film. I really hope they trickle a few more out at least. Now let's check them out. Next to some other action figures. Starting off with my custom Mattel DC Universe Classics style Polka-Dot Man for the old school comics. Here he is, next to that custom. This is an old school Mattel style DC Universe Classics Polka-Dot Man. He's from the old Silver Age comics. He's a slightly smaller scale than McFarlane figures, 6-inch scale. Really happy to have a modernized version of this guy. I absolutely love the obscure Bat villains. Now let's check him out. Next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is with the rest of the regular figures from the Suicide Squad. You can see he's considerably shorter than Peacemaker and Bloodsport. Add King Shark to the mix, and you can see this wave comes in a bunch of different various shapes and sizes. Here he is next to the Zack Snyder's Justice League Tactical Suit Batman. This is the Ben Affleck Batman from the same DC Cinematic Universe that Polka-Dot Man's from. This would be the Batman that he fought presumably earlier in his career. I hope they do touch on that in the film. Then, next to all 6 heroes from Zack Snyder's Justice League. These heroes are from the same cinematic universe as Polka-Dot Man. And here he is, next to all the figures from McFarlane's Zack Snyder's Justice League collection. Now I'm missing at least 4 more figures, looking hopefully to complete the collection soon. Here he is, next to the Wonder Woman 1984 wave. These figures are also from the same shared movie universe. Then, next to Arrow. Arrow's the only McFarlane live-action figure that's not from the DC Cinematic Universe. He's from TV's Arrowverse. Here's Polka-Dot Man next to a comic Batman. Now this isn't the comic version of Polka-Dot Man, but he's a modernized version, and I think he would be great to add to your modern Bat-Rogues. And speaking of Bat-Rogues, here's Polka-Dot Man next to a bunch of other McFarlane DC Multiverse Bat villains. Some look normal, some not quite so much. And here he is next to Mattel's DC Multiverse Suicide Squad figures from the first film. Now let's check him out next to some action figures from different various companies to see how he fits in both scale and style wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I want to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect and work my way smaller. Here he is next to some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next to some more McFarlane Toys. These are from various video game properties. And now, next to some Jakks Pacific wrestling figures. And here he is next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here, next to some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here, next to some Mafex figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, this is a great action figure. He's right up my alley. This is a first-time Bat villain, never released before in plastic form. That is what I'm all about. I love getting brand new Batman-related characters. McFarlane hasn't done too much of that. This guy is more or less in his classic look as well, so 2 thumbs up to that. I love the obscure, ridiculous Bat villains. It's my thing. This guy's accessories are pretty cool. I really like his polka dot effect mid-air. His removable goggles are great. His articulation is excellent. Everything you expect from a McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. The sculpt and paint job are great. No issues there. The texture in his suit is excellent in the different parts. If I were to rate this guy, I'm going to give him a very solid 8 out of 10, and I'm probably enjoying him even more than that. Very happy to finally have an official Polka-Dot Man action figure. Never thought I'd see the day. Maybe the Brave and the Bold line, but not in a standard McFarlane Multiverse line. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.